Greetings. Today I want to show you how we can use Google Forms to make an intervention log. So you can just type up your intervention and then it goes into a Google spreadsheet where things look normal and it looks much like the intervention log that you might be using when you have to fill one out for paperwork and that kind of thing. So what I started with was creating an intervention log using Google Forms. Now, if I were to make this intervention log an actual intervention log that I were using regularly, there's a couple things I would do differently here, or at least one thing. Where it says intervention log, I'd want to put the student's name so it's easy to refer back to, and then I would go ahead and bookmark this specific form. Now, each of these forms are going to need to be tied to a different spreadsheet for this to work. And so, yes, you will have to fill out a form, but for me, if I can do it on a computer, I'd rather do that than do it on a paper that I'm going to lose. And then we'll be able to print our intervention log at any time, and it's going to look pretty much like what at least what my school is used to, and you could always make any adjustments that you need to. So my intervention logs for RTI are basically pretty simple. They require that you put a date for when the intervention is provided, give the minutes for the intervention, the ratio of students to teacher, what the intervention was, and then sometimes you go ahead and make a report of what the progress was if you have something to say about that. We don't do that every time, so that's one thing I did not make required on my form. And again, you can tweak this to what you need or what's required of you in your school or your school district. So if we look at the form, it looks like this. So let's say we're going to fill this out on the 10th of April, and the number of minutes that I worked with the student was 25, and today was a 1-to-1 ratio, and the intervention that I provided was fluency practice, and we worked on grouping phrases together. Instead of reading one word at a time, I'm gonna go ahead and we grouped phrases. And maybe I do have progress to report. Maybe he increased fluency by 5 words per minute from the beginning of the lesson to the end of the lesson. And I'm going to hit submit. Now, normally that's all I have to do, but I want to show you where the intervention log is and how we set it up. So if we look at the responses, and you can see that I went from 1 response to 2. And so I'm going to look at the responses here. And if you see this green box right down here where it says view responses and sheets, when you first set this up, you're not going to have that option. And you want to click on create spreadsheet. And so that's exactly what I did. And so when you set up the spreadsheet, the information comes in here and it doesn't look pretty. In fact, there's really no way that I have found that I could format this that's going to be to my liking and putting other things around it. So I've given up on that. Instead, what I have done is I have brought that information into another page in my spreadsheet. This tab down here for log 1 has the information. And I created my intervention log through A through H columns. And it looks pretty much what my intervention log looked like when I was doing it on paper. Tried to emulate it as much as possible. You see that I had to merge a few cells here to be consistent with what my cell width would be when we get to the log part of it. But to the right on I through M, I told the form that I wanted to create a query. Now, query is a simple function, and I said query this page for form responses B1 through F22. So what I am essentially doing is I'm creating query, went a little too far, of this area here in blue. And what that does is it just repeats that information into the log. Now, I had some problems with doing this in just the live form, so I went ahead and just put this in the background, and then I had each of these B8 through H, starting at row 8 and going down all the way to row 29, I just had each of these equal that. So if I look at minutes, minutes is in J column, and so minutes equals J8. There's something, there's the date. So there's the date, that is I, and I just had to pull that down. So when I created this, I did want it to equal that. Normally, once I've done that hard work, I'm going to go ahead and hide these columns by selecting the columns and hiding I through M. So now I have my form and it's filled out. I did one earlier and now I did a second one. And you'll even notice that I have initials that fill in. And I did this in a kind of a cool way. You can create a function that gives you an image. So what I did for my function is I said if A8, which has my date, which is something I have to fill out on the form, if that is empty, do nothing. But if it's not empty, I want you to put this image, and I gave the URL for an image. The image is literally just of my initials, and it's very small, like 108 by 72 pixels or something like that. I made the image in Google Notes, and I sent it to I made it in iOS Notes. I made that into an image, and then I reduced the image, and then I put it onto my Google Drive. The reason why I wanted to put it on my Google Drive is because I want to make sure that that program has access to it. Once I did that, I had to share this image and get the link. But Google Spreadsheets doesn't know what to do with this link because it's not a direct download link. So I'm going to copy the link. I'm going to come into a site that I found online, which has saved me a ton of time, which is called the Google Drive Direct Link Generator. When you paste that link in and you hit create direct link, now you have a link that is going to be able to be used by the Google Spreadsheets. So I didn't need to fill in all of those. I didn't need to fill in the function for every one of these. I just needed to fill it once. And you'll see where it says image and it's in quotation marks within those parentheses. I pasted in that direct download link. And then from there, once that function is in there, I'm just going to go ahead and pull this down. And so it will automatically say, instead of if A8, next one is A9, A10. And so that's going to fill out just like that. Another thing that I did is I only made this go to a certain length because one problem that I hate with Google Spreadsheets is they don't have a repeat the header rows when you're printing. So I had to create other logs that would do exactly that. And so I created a log2, and log2 created that same query function. And that query function just showed the form responses where it left off until where it gets full. And then I created another one and another one and another one. In fact, I created more logs than I'm going to, log pages than I will need for the school year, but it's just better safe than sorry. And I don't know, maybe my school year will be that long one day. I don't know. So if I go back to log 1, if I were to print this, or my boss wanted to see what my progress was, I'm not going to print it and show you that. Instead, I'll show you what it looks like as a PDF, which will look pretty much the same. And I keep it in portrait mode, and I normally do print to a PDF. And so when I regularly update my progress, I'm just going to put this into my to my Google Drive file for respective students. Okay, and I'm going to save this. And now that is what my intervention log looks like. It has my initials, which is required by my school district. Maybe you don't need to do that. It has the date, the minutes, the ratios. And at the bottom, because I put in a function for summing up all the minutes, all those totals are in each respective intervention log pages. And that's done by just hitting sum and then choosing those cells that you want to sum. And that was B8 through, in fact, it's wrong. I need to change it to 29. Doesn't change the numbers, but And so that's how you can use Google Forms with Google Spreadsheets to make yourself an intervention log. I hope this has been helpful. And if you have any questions, please contact me or go to my website at teachersandtech.com. Thanks a bunch.